Welcome back to this week's news show, coming from you from the Ministry of Artificial Insemination Information. We are back with a lot of interesting news this week.
If anything, we had to take some news out this week.
We had to take a lot of news. We've got Lasha again. Lasha is like the longest running proponent in the news show. We've got Ryan Grimsland block snatching a kilo over the world record. Then, speaking of people not being tested, we've Conor McGregor. Joe Sullivan squatted something massive. We've got some big lifts from weightlifting. We've got Ilya Kipchoge running a world record, an official record. And then we've got anal beads in chess. Don't laugh, it's serious sport there.
What's the first lift we have today, Garth?
The first thing we've got, first up, we'll skip right to it. Lasha returned to competition and he did 215 and 245 kilo clean and yerk. So the 215 right up there with like... He's super close to peak performance in the snatch. Like it's the world's his oyster from here in terms of the snatch. Yeah. But
I think we can all agree that we are actually going to see very big numbers at Worlds.
Certainly in the snatch. In the snatch, I think.
It's so fast. That first pull, I think, is faster than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the angle, but his feet do look like they're a bit wider apart in his setup. Just looks very strong.
Normally, people from the front don't look very good in their lifting because most people kind of asymmetries and stuff, and it doesn't look great. But Lasha is so large that he actually looks symmetrical from the front, and it's kind of pleasing to look at. Except for he's clean, so we got 245, teeny little hop to the side. Yeah, I wonder if they're concerned about that. Are they like looking at that? Is that something they're interested in? They obviously have the means to go investigate it,
Considering the nature of his most recent injury, I think they should be very, very conscious of trying to fix that. And I've no doubt they are.
Because we actually have a pay-per-view coming this week based on performance indicators and asymmetries in limbs. So it was in soccer players. It was quite interesting results from that. And it seems to be kind of agreeing with a lot of research. A lot of research seems to be heading the direction that is asymmetries do predict potentially performance and potentially injuries. And we'll get into some of those injury papers as well. So, schmatzy.
Schmatzy, coming at it once again. Coming in hot.
I assume they left a lot in the tank there for the clean and jerk, and they're just going slowly catchy monkey with this until he gets to Worlds.
You also assume there's a fair bit to go with his squat until Worlds.
Yes.
So like he's not in prime heart shape right now. Because I think you can definitely get away with the snatch. You could certainly snatch heavier weights without being in phenomenal kind of athletic condition. Whereas you're not going to get away with it on the clean and jerk. So I think it is just that lagging indicator, or that lagging behind with the clean and jerk.
And that clean and jerk performance does go in larger jumps, obviously because the weights are larger, the jumps look larger relative to us, But he snatched, the jumps are quite small, so you need to be closer to better shape longer before you make your peak, So he doesn't want to be clean jerking 260 now because performance at a certain time, when you get to that peak, just starts to deteriorate. So he's obviously at a place where he's like, okay, we got to be sharp with the snatch and getting there and consistent, and then on the right road, as it were.
Yeah.
Moving on the right road is Ryan Grimsland, snatching 170 kilos as a 73. I believe he said he weighed 75 kilos in terms of body weight.
Okay.
The world record is 169 by Shi Jiang.
That actually was a question I had.
Yes.
With this video, is what weight he's at now.
Apparently, he said in one of the posts, someone commented on live streaming yesterday and said he was 75 kilos.
Okay.
He's a 73 kilo competitor, so it's fair to say this is a kilo over the world record. It's not like
absolutely.
He's no longer a 75. He's not like an 81 more or something.
Very wide feet.
Yeah, the extension is interesting.
Yeah,
it's fast.
It's viciously fast. Also, the catch. There's no doubt there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
There is absolutely no doubt. It's not like. Sometimes you see people doing things from high blocks and it's like, oh geez, he was lucky to make that,
Yeah.
Like there's absolutely no doubt here. I know you said last week he did 165 or something.
160, but I don't know if that was a PB or that was just a heavy lift from last week. Yeah, there's block snatches where you do them and you're like, right, that's no use for you lifting the floor. And then there's block snatches you do them and you're like, that's a valuable addition to your training, and this certainly looks like it.
Absolutely, yeah. Ryan's been going, I know he's young, but he's been going a long time. Like he's been with that MASH crew, or it seems like anyway, he's been with that MASH crew for a long time,
Yes. He's, look, to be fair, technique does leave something to be desired, but big weights are big weights.
Yeah, 100%.
I love how he loaded the 3 slabs.
Yeah.
Sometimes people could be like 170, big lift, or don't want to put on the plates. In fairness, in the interest of consistency, there's an elephant in the room here. So, we talk a lot about a banter about other lifters being in gear, and obviously Luke being in gear and stuff, and Lasha and Ilya and everyone else. And we'll talk about Conor McGregor in a second. And there's a big, hairy, deep-throated elephant in the room who's very jacked, very lean percentage body fat.
Yeah.
Looking at us in the corner now, and looking at everyone else in the corner, and on his ass, he's got a Rodchenkov tattoo.
Yeah.
Gregory Rodchenkov tattoo, and an asylum in the US. And he's just, he's neighing like a horse for some reason, though, for the giant elephant,
It seems like
Yeah.
the US Olympic team athletes,
They're doing well.
prospects for the next US Olympic team are doing quite well.
Yeah, like CJ Cummings front squatting like 250, which also
Yeah.
is like Xi Jiang's lift as well, and
Interesting you say that,
yeah.
because everyone would expect Xi Jinping to be on gear, which he is.
Yeah, so what are you saying, Dara?
What I'm saying is those two things seem to be quite congruent.
Usually in weightlifting,
An athlete of that weight class,
Yeah.
front squatting 250 kilos,
yes.
would usually point me in the direction of
And we
enhanced.
know people have front squatted it on gear weighing more.
Yeah.
But also we know people generally don't do world records not on gear in weightlifting. And I'm just saying,
Maybe in America drugs don't work though.
maybe that's true. But
But, man.
moving on, Conor McGregor is the only athlete this year to not have been drug tested by USADA, and now we're on the 26th of September.
Now, shit's flying back over this side of the Atlantic.
Hey!
So no drug test for Conor McGregor by WADA in 2022.
The only athlete.
The only athlete in the UFC. Now, obviously hasn't really been competing in 2022, but obviously there's this is a massive news story. He's the biggest fighter in the UFC.
Highest paid athlete in the world last year.
Highest paid athlete in the world
Last
last year.
3 fights.
Right? By losing fights. He's massive and jacked at the moment. Every Conor McGregor story you've seen in 2022, if it's not about some sort of really bad social behavior, it's been about him being really jacked. Like, if he's not causing some controversy, it's about how big and muscly and jacked he is. So there's certainly a question mark over this. There's certainly issues over this. I know he's not in the States a massive amount at the moment, and possibly the WADA testing deal only falls under USADA, but I know he was getting tested in Ireland when he was here, and he was getting tested by the WADA officials in Ireland when he was here. So it's just, I know Conor McGregor has the UFC have a massive stake in Conor McGregor, and he has a massive stake in the UFC, and it just it smells of it.
Conor McGregor, the only two stories, Conor McGregor being naughty or is Conor McGregor doing steroids.
Yeah.
So the USADA conglomerate released a statement saying that any fighter, so Conor McGregor is the only fighter who has been tested, except for new ones who've been signed after August the 1st, which is fair enough. They released a statement essentially saying that everyone has to have 2 failed tests before you come to fighting, and if you're going to be fighting, you have to be tested within 6 months or whatever. So that's the same as any other sport under USADA. But obviously, because they're testing for a private company, they're essentially doing contract work here, and the contract employer, the contract payer, is Dana White and the UFC. So even if Conor McGregor tested positive, do you think Dana would be like, damn, here's our biggest prize fighter, he tested positive?
Yeah.
There's no way.
It's also very likely that the agreement struck with USADA, like they're talking about there, is an agreement around specific fights and specific promotions. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think every fighter on the UFC roster, even though they have all been tested, I think that's quite unreasonable to expect. They'd have a few hundred fighters on the roster. There's no reason to test someone if they're not fighting within the year, and he hasn't fought within the year.
There's no reason to not test him.
I understand.
What I mean?
I understand completely.
And it's not like the UFC don't have the money to pay for these tests.
No.
And it's not like the UFC don't have the money to pay for one of their biggest fighters to get
It
tested.
just, if this was somebody else,
yes,
it wouldn't be as much of an issue as if it wasn't the massively jacked and muscly guy who's also the best money maker on their card.
Yeah.
It's just a little smells a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, but you know,
Go on. Say it.
he might not be on steroids. Like.
No.
So Joe O'Sullivan squatted 385 kilos in sleeves, powerlifting belt, walked it out himself at 219.9 pounds, which is 99.9 kilos for anyone being exact. He, quite interesting water cut, little IV hydration, but absolutely buried this squat. And it, to be honest, in powerlifting that looked like it could have been in a second attempt. It's in addition to his squat last year, so it's great to see he is still improving. You know, those water cuts, you can only do those big, crazy water cuts for so long before they eventually impact your body or they start impacting your performance. So this was 5 kilos on top of his performance last year, which
Jesus
we all know the only squat PB that matters is a minimum of 5 kilos. Anything below that, and it's not a real squat PB. So this phenomenal squat, buried it, no doubt about it. No help.
385 kilos.
At 100 kilos.
Absurd.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I
incredible.
actually really like his squat.
Yes.
I think for a powerlifter, I really like his squat. Quite upright torso. Very, very quad dominant. I really like, obviously we did the video on him doing the 20 reps at 500 pounds.
Yes.
Unbelievably impressive.
Valiant
How many reps did he do?
He did like 20 something.
20 something, yeah. Unbelievable effort, but obviously 385 is just, it's absurd. I don't know what else to say about it.
You have to imagine that prep phase played a little bit of a help in terms of peaking for this world record.
Yeah,
like you have to imagine that was the most intense prep phase.
Yeah.
Like he definitely added some muscle mass there, and he definitely added some work capacity from attempting that.
His work capacity was significantly increased.
So I'd say it was as big as it would ever need to be.
Yeah.
So incredible work. And Joe pulls convention as well. So just to be...
Which means he's not a cheater.
So, and we didn't see any other lifts from Joe from this, but maybe...
If you do go and check out Joe's Instagram, you'll see just how ripped
Yes.
100 kilo male can be. I wonder what height he is.
He's standing atop the world right now with his all-time world record.
Hey,
That's
there
all
it
we
is.
know.
No, phenomenal squat. Really, really nice.
Moving on, we have... So, Lesman, the Colombian, or should I say former Colombian lifter, has moved to Bahrain. So, him alongside Gorm Manassian have moved country to compete for them. I thought the rule was longer for Olympics. I thought it had to be more than 2 years. I thought they originally moved it to something like 4 years, but I assume everyone knows what's going on. He's also seems to be wearing a Black Panther singlet, which is fucking class. But he power snatched 145 for 3 reps. No straps, by the way, everyone. Everyone needs to know that he didn't wear straps. And it looked like he could have done 2 more if he wanted to.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
I actually don't know what to say about it. One thing I'd love to see is a bit more elbow bend after he makes contact with his hip, but what he's doing is working for him.
His arms are so long, he doesn't... Like, it gives the appearance that he doesn't need it as much.
Yeah.
And his arms are so jacked. There's some... The Saudi Arabian teams, you saw Ritfires and his coach Edwards training there, and they also had a load of ZKC, so there's obviously some rep with ZKC in the Middle East working hard.
Doing a good job.
And getting after it, getting 100% commission.
I really like those EKC plates.
They look heavy. They look heavy to me.
That's because they're coloured competition plates.
Yeah, but not all coloured competition plates look heavy, but these look heavy. They're so shiny. The
I know
shininess adds
what you mean. I
heaviness,
know
like,
what you mean.
you've
It's
got
the
it.
surface finish really does affect the weight.
It makes it heavier, like. The
The
aerodynamics.
the
all that
lightest
stuff.
weights in the world
What?
that aren't the absurdly wide bumpers
Go on.
are the ZKC early 2000s black training plates.
Oh, man.
Oh my god. If I could have a full set of those plates, the best plates in the world ever. I think those 10s weigh around 8 kilos.
Maybe 7.
Maybe 7.
Maybe 7.
Who knows? They certainly don't weigh 10 kilos.
Jesus, if there's ever a point where I have too much money, I'm going to buy them off UL.
Yeah.
So Lesman doing some incredible things in Bahrain. So he's got Bahrain team in his profile. So it'll be very interesting to see how this transpires and how it goes. Next we've got Jan Hack, is a Korean 96 kilo lifter. Apologies, that's not his name. That's what it is on Instagram. So he did 180 kilo snatch and 215 kilo clean and jerk on the same day. He snatched 182, but he's getting after it.
No, he is lifting some big weights. Do you think this is in the same training session, or do we think it's a different training session?
It's the same outfit, and those plates are falling the same. So I'd say it's definitely
Same session.
Yeah, so like beautiful looking training hall.
Yeah, I love that training hall. These look very close to max. I'm wondering what their competition, like, he's obviously going to the Asian Games.
Yes, of course, yes.
I wonder, is this the last kind of heavy session he'll do, or the heaviest he'll go? But it certainly doesn't look like there's 10 kilos more in that snatch.
The problem with that kind of snatch where you roll it back into you and you have a super aggressive third pull and, you know, a bit of crash, is that when you do that with straps, it doesn't transfer well over to a snatch without straps.
Is he wearing straps here?
Yes, he is, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he has little shorties.
So, like, it's an amazing lift is what we have it on here for, not so much commenting on his comp ability, but just an emphasis on the style he's using. You know, an incredibly slow first and second pull, which is a bit lot harder with hook grip, and then the third pull, which is super powerful, is something you can get away with more with straps. You know, and for competition athletes, it's not always ideal. So obviously it doesn't take away from the impressiveness of a 180 kilo snatch at any body weight, including 96, but it is interesting competition to see how well it'll transfer over.
Yeah.
And he's got the Spooders on, the
Spiders,
the Korean spider shoes on, which are a great shoe.
I always shudder when I see that bar crash. Do you know, that bit of shoulder?
It hurts.
It hurts. That's why I shudder. It's like a.
I imagine with 180 it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
The clean then, I love it.
He just gets after it.
Some lads who clean like that, when they hit cleans, you know, where they're just so used to standing up with cleans like that, will jerk it a lot more than you would think otherwise.
Yeah.
If someone didn't normally hit a clean like that, someone who's always great cleans, and then they up just doing a terrible clean. Ilya was a great example of this, someone who, if they messed up a clean any bit, was in a half these chance of making the jerk.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. Hack here seems to be doing this on the regular, and this is just another day at the office for him.
Yeah, there's like, geez, he really uses the bounce well.
Yeah.
His lockout here looks very strong for a jerk that probably wasn't driven quite high enough.
Yes.
Like, he really locks out his elbows quite aggressively. I wonder, is he doing the same volume of pressing that we've seen from some of the other Koreans?
Yeah, I'd imagine. So they seem to do kind of team programming. I want to know who he's pointing at it after. Speaking of Ilya's back in the news show. Ilya is block snatching something, and he didn't say the weight. Now, if it's like 20s and 15s and a 5, it's either 180 or 190. So there's no way.
No, I think it's 150.
So it's 20s and all 10s and a 5. So I'd imagine it's 150, which is very interesting.
Yes.
It's if he started like repping 150 from the blocks, be interested.
I just once again feel like I'm put in the position of like,
don't go on a little diatribe. No one wants to hear it.
I feel like I'm in the position.
Nobody wants to hear it, Dara. Nobody wants.
But
to hear it.
But you don't want to hear it because you're
all
once
I said.
Again
shut up a second. All I said was if he started repping 150 from blocks, it'd be interesting.
That's just like this time he'll be different. You know?
No, he might take. No, I don't think he's ever come back to competition. But surely,
I'm so excited to see it. I love seeing it.
It's also, you shouldn't be dropping weights on those blocks. I don't think
he can do whatever he wants.
It's true. But
he's the greatest weightlifter in history.
Someone from the national sports team might drop off a bag. Like, surely.
I'd say the person who owns that CrossFit box is just so excited to have Ilya there.
Who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Moving on then to the opposite end of the spectrum of power production, we've got Elliot Kipchoge breaks his own world record marathon time with 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds. So 30 seconds.
It's crazy. What really excites me with this is like, so obviously there's the Nike project for running sub 2 hours, and they've all the different things going on. Obviously they've limited things like the rigidity of the shoes. He didn't have the team running around him in that kind of goose flock formation where they're shearing air away from. This is actual race conditions in a registered race event. This is massive. Like these kind of world records don't happen too often. Like,
they had half a marathon done after an hour.
Insanity.
It actually sounds more impressive when you say half his marathon done after an hour.
Yeah.
Half of his marathon done after an hour.
I'd love to see the pacing, you know. Like, was he going sub 2 hour pace for the first 3 quarters? Like, at these kind of speeds and at this kind of pace, conceivably 2 kilometers that were suboptimal is enough to knock him back that 1 minute, you know.
Yes.
Like, it's fucking mental.
So his fastest ever in that kind of event was 1:59 and 40 seconds in Vienna in 2019, which I think everyone kind of blew up with everyone. So that was a huge thing. And I think everyone understands that while it wasn't an official world record, it's still the fastest marathon ever in reality, because if anyone else wants to criticize that, they can feel free to come along and repeat his event under those conditions. You know?
Yeah. I'm just doing quickly there. So it's 121 minutes.
With the magic editing, I can just remove 250. So we did it 253 kilometers minute per kilometer. What a guy!
That is absurd. Just to give you a note on that, 3 minutes and 7 seconds per kilometer is 5 minute mile pace. So he did sub 3 minute kilometer pace for 42 kilometers.
That's outrageous.
I'd hazard a guess that more than 75% of the people watching this video wouldn't be able to run that pace for 400 meters.
Moving on to our last topic, you were introducing this now because I just want to make clear Dara brought this to the news show.
So moving on to the last topic, this is here because of doping in sport, right? And doping, usually when we're talking about it, is like chemical doping, the use of banned substances to change your physiology. But obviously there's a whole other remit of doping, and that is technological doping. So that would be the use of illegal fenders on your bike or illegal spoilers on an F1 car. In this case, a young chess grandmaster who has just beaten the world champion, or the kind of world number one in chess, was accused of using anal beads that had an AI function in them that would pulsate to let him know what the next move should be. It's been kind of widely condemned as slander, and basically a case where this young Hans Neumann was kind of thrown under the bus, where people put it out there as an internet rumor as it being the only way where he could have beaten the kind of world number one at the moment. So it's kind of upsetting in that case, but it just goes to show these things actually exist.
Did someone thought about that?
Yeah, that there are those. I know they exist for when I was looking up, for cheating using in like card games and casinos and things like that, which is mental.
And it's just chess.
Available now at Sikastan.com.
Yeah, for all the squat plug aficionados, the anal beads might be something that you can use in your squat. You don't know.
I'll give you coaching cues on the wheel.
Hope you enjoyed today's news show.
Thanks very much for watching.
We'll see you next week.
Hopefully with different outfits.